Okay. Welcome to a Hoya locker room. I have two esteemed Hoyas in my presence today. One Mr. Tyler Adams and one Mr. Jabril Trawick. I want to thank both of you gentlemen for posting up today. Watched you over your careers. Very happy you could tune in. And let's get started. This Hoya locker room was a brain trust of Trey Dickinson and myself, and it's one of those things where we wanted to show the Hoya experience through our eyes, through our vision. As Jabril and I were talking a little bit earlier, we've always been kept a little close to the vest as a program goes. So this is the opportunity for us to kind of speak our piece. Having some technical difficulties, so it's kind of altering my flow right now. So the first question I'll lob out there just to get things started. Your Georgetown experience. What did you know about Georgetown prior to committing? And that question is for both of you.
Go ahead, TA.
Well, me, I've always been like a basketball junkie. Like even like growing up since I was like 5 or 6. So, I mean, I knew that Georgetown had a great background with big men. I watched Roy Hibbert. In college, I watched Jeff Green. I watched Greg Monroe. I wasn't old enough to watch Patrick Ewing and Lonzo Mourning, but I did a lot of research on them guys. So I knew that Georgetown was a great big man school, and that played a big part in why I chose to make my decision to the Hilltop.
Right. So for me, clearly, after a certain amount of time, as I talked about before, even growing up, you see Georgetown in a lot of different movies, a lot of, quote unquote black movies growing up. So it definitely was something that I noticed in my childhood growing up, seeing Georgetown always in different movies and things of that nature, on top of the basketball aspect. And, even like Allen Iverson being my favorite player, him going to Georgetown and so forth. So just, even similar to what Tyler was saying is about just the history and the tradition, I kind of always been privy to that as well, because, I had certain males in my family who was big Georgetown fans as well. So, I mean, I definitely was privy of just Georgetown, their influence on, I would say, I guess, Black America. And also, just tapping into, Allen Iverson being my favorite player. So it was on multiple layers.
See, and that's kind of what I want to make Hoya Locker Room about, celebrating that. Because the fact that I didn't get a chance to chop it up with you during your 4 years, right? The fact that I didn't get to meet you guys and show that lineage, right? That continuity. Because, in the 80s, Georgetown was just on the come up. And, I didn't realize the impact until I graduated, until I moved to New York. And it was the New York cats that let me know, we was really rocking with y'all back then. Because you know how it is, when you up in it, you don't really hear the outside noise.
Right.
So I guess for me, we all kind of posted up now. And I definitely want to hear how you guys are making it do what it do, given the situation we're in. But it just got me to thinking, if any program should be more vocal, it probably should be ours. I know we dropped a nice little note, nice little banner joint, and that's cool. But if you think about who was at the forefront of the movement, Big John was the last president of the Black Coaches Association. Tyler, we don't even have the Black Coaches Association now. They have something with like 10 words in it, 10 letters in it. So I just thought we should have been at the forefront of that movement. And obviously it's never too late. I think the university is dealing with some issues as it relates to having owned slaves. I think they're dealing with that upfront and transparent. But it's just good to hear that you knew about it in 2015, right? Because I got to tell you, I didn't know about it until I was out of school for almost 10 years. So that's music to my ears, because I think that's powerful, you know. So, and Tyler, I guess you can jump in. Like if you're talking to a recruit, they want to know about your program in earnest. You know, Alcorn State has history, so they want to know about the history of the program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now with are you talking about like speaking up on the history of Georgetown?
Just the history of the program that you're working at, a program that you're part of. How that's important? Is that important to?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's definitely important as far as recruiting, because like I remember, like as soon as I, walked into Georgetown old practice gym, like the first thing I seen was all those names on the wall. Like I remember, like on my,
McDonough?
like yeah. Like that's the first thing I seen. I was like, dang, and like that was like the first like memory that I had, like just walking in the gym, and like you said, like the history, and you got to stress that like when you recruit and see like. I don't know how it is now, but like when I was like on my visits and even like during the summer, we always had like old NBA guys around, like Greg Monroe, Jeff Green, even like, Austin and Freedom would come around even after they graduated. And I think, players coming on visits, being able to see that, like, I think it was like our sophomore, junior year, AI was on campus that weekend. We had like a big official weekend, like visits and like stuff like that matters. Like if they can see them in person, and try to get them around, that'll help out a lot too.
Okay. One sec. I'm gonna keep talking, but I'm trying to set it up so we're on Instagram as well. So this is my second time doing the live joint, so bear with me. So I guess from there, I'll just jump into your careers. Tyler, you are a icon. And I can only relate to your experience on a really small scale. I got hurt the first part of the season my sophomore year, and I thought my world had ended. What was it that made it able for you to carry on, still show up, still be a positive influence, still make an impact? If you can explain that journey, I'm sure you've explained it a million times, but is this something I've never heard? I mean, I've read about it, but I'd like to, if you could share that, that'd be dope.
Okay, well, I remember senior night, I had, they let each senior get up and talk, and people would always ask me, how do you, not play, still support the team, still walk around like you're the happiest person on the team? Well, I say that Miss Michaels, she had cancer when I was at Georgetown, and I think she may have found out our freshman year, or like pretty much around the same time I got my pacemaker. And Miss Michael's situation was a lot worse than mine. And she would come to work upbeat, uptuned, still calling, getting on Sean, the other trainer, about making sure everyone was okay. And I just seen like the positive energy that she brought, and she was fighting for her life. And I wasn't, fighting for my life at the time. I just couldn't play because of my heart wasn't in physical shape enough, for me to play. So I seen how she, carried herself through that situation, and that just motivated me to be like, I'm just still blessed to be alive, and I got to make the best of my opportunity. And then also, Coach Thompson made the transition easy for me because I've always wanted to be a coach. So once the doctor, pretty much told me that I wasn't able to play, Coach Thompson started calling me his junior coach. So I just embraced that role, and I was still a part of the team. Like I did all the practice, weightlifting, got all the gear. So I never felt like
got all the gear.
Got all the gear. So like I never felt like I was disconnected from the team. It's just that the only time that it would affect me is like, in Big East play, I'd be like, dang, I could have got that rebound. Or, Mikhail having to play the foul the whole game. He really not a foul. I'm like, dang, that's my fault. But
that short torso killed him, man. If he had a longer torso. I guess you were a double dude coming out of high school. You had a body of work. You were a 4-star cat. Was he doing work in practice, Jabril, before he found out, or?
Of course, it's like, you gotta understand, like when we talking about hoop, outside of, skills and all of that, like, something that I think a lot of the people resonated with my play, and just my energy was because I brought a lot of heart and passion to the game, and like you were saying, like, just that connection we had of wearing the blue and gray was such a adornment, you get what I'm saying? And Tyler, he got that dog, he got that what you can't teach at the end of the day, so when you step on that floor, outside of just having a certain skill set or whatever, you got that effort and that energy and that willpower to just, compete.
So I'm going to go hard right now for both of you. You had some dope ass crews, yo. How, after every season, did you feel like you left it on the table? It was one play here, one play there. I mean, you finished first in the Big East your sophomore year, and correct me if I'm wrong, and then second in the Big East your junior year. Is that right?
No, it wasn't junior year. It might have been
senior. Was it senior?
Senior year.
Yes.
Senior.
My junior year was kind of I
Shake
think
with the NIT.
different stuff. The junior year.
So
yeah.
let's just with the
junior with the
NIT. You win the Big East. So walk me through the mindset before and after, because I didn't lose money, but I don't know if it was a Utah game or the Florida game. I lost my mind. I lost hair. So the hair is missing now is because of y'all. So I need.
It was a Florida. It was a Florida game.
I need to exit, and I got to the Florida game because I was in Philly, my dude. And I got to the Florida game early, and I saw y'all out there warming up. Y'all was chilling on the side. I said they think they got it. So I started chilling. So explain to me what happened, please.
That day don't even seem real. It still don't even seem real. I don't even remember the game.
Brill, talk to me.
Well, basically it was like, well, outside of just like that year we had the sophomore year, that was definitely a great year for us. And even before, like even I would go back to even our freshman year though, I feel like our freshman year, we had a chance to do something to go really far too. We had a chance to do something special, and we had. I
gotta be honest with you, dog. With the roster, I thought y'all had a shot every year. But of course, I'm biased because I'm a Georgetown dude.
So, I would say the same thing too. Of course, every team, has different, things that may happen. So different situations, circumstance, injuries, all kinds of, those things that play out. So I think we was like, that's was the things that was happening like throughout the years. But I feel like, especially our sophomore year where, we were like top 5 in the country for most of the year. We won the Big East regular season championship. Then we ended up competing against Syracuse in the Big East tournament. We lost to them in that game. And then going to the tournament and basically losing the Florida Gulf Coast. For me personally, it was tough. But at the same time, it was definitely weird because it was like, it was a different kind of energy in the building. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like at a certain point, it was like a lot of things felt like out of place.
It was us against the world.
Oh, we know that mentality. That's the program.
Like the second half, it's like Oklahoma fans were cheering against us, Florida fans were cheering against us. So it's like it was just a weird feeling in the building. Then they just kept on throwing alleys.
So with that being said, it helped me realize the energy behind March Madness. You get what I'm saying? Like stepping into like understanding that it don't really matter who you playing. You get what I'm saying? Because this is the big dance. So you got teams who, they're trying to. This is like their biggest like shot that they may have all year. Especially teams that may not be on in the Big East or, so it's like it's not hard for them to get fired up for shit like this. So excuse my language, but at the end of the day, you know, like you said, we could have had a mindset of where we was kind of lackadaisical or where we kind of like, yo, we got this or whatever, you know. So,
but yeah, Jabril, you're right, because I remember our freshman year, the year before that, they had lost, I think, VCU in the first round, and there was Henry. So the next year was Henry and them senior year. I remember that first round game, like our focus, like against Belmont, was like we was getting ready for a championship because we was like, we can't let the program lose again in the first round. And
exactly.
like the first round game against Belmont, it felt like we was getting prepared mentally for like the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight.
Right.
And I don't think we had that same preparation our sophomore year, especially after going on a 12-game winning streak. And, you know, we was like around campus. Campus was crazy like that whole time. Like just the whole win streak. So I don't think we had the same focus, and I don't think it really just had nothing to do with coaching or anything like that. You know, just, you know, like Jabril said, we were just more hungry at the time, our freshman year. I feel like at the team than we were our sophomore year, you know, because the thing we working against, you know, as a program like the year before.
I'm going to share, it's like a warm-up story before NCAA game to kind of show you or you know, share the mindset we had back in the 80s. So this is 82, and we sneaking up on people. They see this in the West because, you know, back it was, but again, it was only 64 teams, I think, 64 teams. And they see this in the West and expecting us not to come out of the West. So it was either, I think it was a second round game, and I'm in the locker room banging on the lockers. Billy Martin, who was a freshman, this is my sophomore year, because, you know, my minutes were minimal, right? I'm banging on the lockers. Billy Martin's got the boom box turned up loud, and I'm running around, a man gotta do what a man gotta do. And I'm doing this for about 10, 15 minutes. Finally, the captain of the team, we had 3 captains that year, Ed Spriggs, Irk Smith, and Sleepy. Ed Spriggs leaned over to me and said, yo, man, we got it, man. All right? You can stop that shit. Hurt my feelings. But that's how, you know, you talk about us against the world.
Right.
We literally, that's why this Hoya locker room, that's all it's about to me. Like, the origins of the program are deep, right? We're not blue blood. We didn't show up. We hard working. We play D. We foul. We talk trash. Our bench used to be notorious. Like, you couldn't walk by the bench and somebody didn't scream at you, talk smack to you, whatever.
Right.
What was the mentality? What was the most? Which crew had the most dog mentality of the years you were there? Which crew was the dogs?
It's hard because
pick one.
I don't know. Freshman year, we had so many bodies, and like practice used to be crazy because first team you had Henry, Jason, Markel, Hollis, and Nate.
Right.
And second team you had Greg, Jabril, Otto, Mikhail, me, and John Caprell was a dog as a walk-on. So like practice used to be crazy. Like Markel Jabril used to be about to fight. Mikhail and Henry used to be about to fight every day.
Right.
So like and then like I always thought he was Kobe, so nobody on the second team liked him in practice, you know, when we was, so I feel like that year might have had the most competitive practices.
Right.
Like we used to practice the longest, but like we didn't even realize how we was practicing once we started scrimmaging because we was going at it so hard. So I think freshman year, I think as far as just like grit, because Greg was a dog too, and Greg used to try to go at everybody in practice. Like he was gonna try to, you know, go at you. Then you know we had Moses too. He was physical. So I feel like I don't know, maybe our freshman year with Henry and Jason them, that might have probably been our toughest team, I think.
Okay, so Jabril, I'm gonna single you out on this. So you and Greg were roommates this 1 year in the G League, right?
Yeah, we was roommates. Well, yeah, actually, we might have been for 2 years, or if I'm not mistaken, but yeah, we was definitely together in Sioux Falls.
So how's Greg doing? Where is he at? Where, what's going on? Just an update, and then give us an update on where you're at career-wise. Because again, what I'd love to do is for guys that are still playing, if they don't have time, send the videos to one spot and we can get that out so we can continue to follow our Hoyas. So
Right.
just an update on what's up with Greg and what's up with you.
Right. So I actually want to touch on too the
Please.
team aspect too.
Okay.
Basically, it was like, yeah, I think that was something that's important that Tyler mentioned as far as the competitive nature between the two teams in practice, right? Freshman year, definitely, we had a lot of that where we was just able to make each other better. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
Even on top of that, and that's what I would say, like even every year I would say we had potential every year. Every year is different. You change in different conferences and things of that nature. So like even my junior year, we had Big Josh come in. We had we had a good team for real, for real. Like we had
For real, yeah.
So it's like, unfortunately, we had to deal with certain things like dudes becoming ineligible. So we ended up like things like that, during the midst of even like Big East play, it was things that kind of messed us up. I broke my jaw that year.
Yeah.
So I ended up missing like I think 6 games, which were all like around Big East play or something like
How
that.
many games were you supposed to miss? That's what I want to know. That's the question.
Yeah, I think I came back pretty fast.
Yeah, you did,
I
dog.
remember when that happened too. I think we was supposed to play Villanova. We was playing Villanova, and Coach Thompson was like, "You ready?" Like, I was like, I mean, I guess like. So I end up
JT3 or
JT3.
Okay.
JT3. He was like, you like basically like, yo, you like, what's up? Like, and I'm
Kinda
like,
need you, man.
play like that game. He didn't really play me much. I think it was the game before we ended up going to New York and playing Michigan State in the Garden.
Right.
So that was like my first game back, I think. So we ended up going out there. We was able to get that win, and that was a big game for us. Just as far as how the season was going, you get what I'm saying? So
Gotcha.
I think throughout every year we was able to do like some historical or some great things, So yeah, but outside of that, like Greg, me and Greg, we had a great experience in Sioux Falls. Like we was able to actually play for the best team ever in D League history.
Yeah.
The best record ever, the longest winning streak. So that was just a great experience, and I think for Greg now, because for me personally, I haven't. After my career in the D League, I went and played in the Philippines for a little bit. Then I went and played in Israel for a little bit of time. And I would say that I had good experiences over there overall. As far as the basketball, I wouldn't say that the basketball, how it goes, it's overseas. So, it's not like what most people think, but I was happy to go to good programs or whatever. But I would say like the basketball wasn't really, working out for me in a sense as far as what I thought I should be doing, how I thought, and so forth. So where I was at in my journey personally, when I got back from Israel, I decided to basically step into other ventures of just creative aspects and so forth. So as of lately, I haven't been playing. So I've been working on a lot of creative stuff. I'm down in Atlanta right now working on a creative compound with my sister. So that's what I'm doing right now. But I definitely think not to go all over the place, but I think to bridge.
It's like a locker room. We go all over the place. Yeah, that's it.
So
I
basically,
prefer that.
Right. To bridge it is like one of the things I was getting to was I definitely think there should be something in which we could keep, all the alumni and the Hoya players closely connected, even if that's like us putting together certain events where we could do on the annual, or like you said, certain things where we could just follow certain players better, because to be on a personal level, like just observing, like I can see how even like through social media or whatever, how the connection between players who may have previously been at Georgetown, let's say not maybe the guys who everybody know, but it's like they might not get as much love, you know, as far as like guys who have been there. So, you know, I think we definitely could do a better job as far as giving our players a platform, you know, just to, you know, reap certain benefits of the times they were geared through maybe alumni who want to connect with them or just different things of that nature.
Yeah. Again, for me, it's why you go to Georgetown.
Right.
You go to Georgetown, and I can't say when I got to Georgetown in 1980, I knew what networking meant or what networking was, or had an idea of what I wanted to do. Because I didn't go to Georgetown. I wasn't planning on the NBA. Like, I didn't have another hustle.
Right.
So for me, it was like, okay, I'm going to maximize these four. And then when I bounce, hopefully I have relationships established. But
right.
You know, for something like that, it's never too late. Like,
right.
As a matter of fact, it's probably even better if someone's more established or has more of an idea. But our alumni is global.
Right.
It's not like we're just talking about one part of the country. So, again, if it's my old ass walking around with the banner, you know, I'll be that guy because I don't think it's that complicated.
Right.
Tyler, congratulations on the assistant coaching job.
Thank you.
Jabril, when he's done, might be interested. So, you know, keep an eye out for him. Obviously this time you're not full throttle, but what's your regiment right now? What's your program? How are you getting acclimated?
Well, right now, I mean, just like everyone else, we're unsure of a lot of things, if we even gonna have a season. But right now, I mean, I've just been, trying to get, build a relationship with my head coach because we didn't really have a relationship, prior to him hiring me, and just been, trying to make sure, all our players are, getting their online courses. I'm just blessed, have my first Division I job at age 27. So I'm just, trying to take, advantage of that, and move up as fast as I can. And, Coach Thompson really prepared me for this because, like I mentioned earlier, like he had me, like he didn't just let me come to practice and not do nothing. So, like, I was going he would ask me questions, but, I would go down there and work with the big man with Othello, who also had a big impact on, my coaching career. I pretty much stole all his workouts with the bigs and implemented it in my workouts. So,
Did you see his workouts on Twitter the other day? You see your man's workouts?
Big Ty.
Big Ty. I think it was an up and under drop step.
I was trying to get them bigs right.
Footwork.
But yeah, like I was saying though, Coach Thompson really got me prepared. So after I stopped playing my freshman year, obviously I wasn't, gonna be able to play. So I pretty much prepared myself mentally, to start being able to be a coach, and seeing the game from a coach's perspective versus a player's, point of view is a lot different. So I learned, like I sat on the bench for 3.5 years. Like I watched every practice, every game. So really it was like a blessing in disguise to get me ready for my career. Because honestly, I don't think I would have made it to NBA even if I would have played my 4 years. I mean, maybe I would have had a shot, but like I wasn't no athletic big who was jumping out the gym. But I probably could have played 18 years overseas. So with that being said, it was like a blessing in disguise. Coach Thompson, helped me get me ready for this opportunity. So,
what advice or what would you dime Jabril on if he's starting to think about coaching? Some moves he should make, or in his process? Because from what I can see, he certainly is a person that commands attention on the court. Able to deliver a clear, concise message on the spot. Fan favorite, whether it's Brill Clinton.
Yeah, Brill.
What advice would you give him?
Well, before you get into the coach, you better make sure you love it, and you better make sure you have a lot of patience because dealing with kids, is like I now see what they have to deal with us. I'm like, dang, You know, it's not as easy as you think. So that'll be the first advice. You know, make sure it's really what you want to do, because once you in it, that's like 90% of your life. So that, you know, if if that's what you want to do, you need to make sure. So, but if not, I wouldn't advise anybody to get in this profession, especially, you know, at the college level. It could be JUCO, Division II, you know, because you're gonna have to put in the hours, put in the work, you know, to be great. So I have to say, make sure you want to be a coach, like really want to be a coach before you jump into it, because, you know, it may be something that you ain't ready for. That's why I give people that advice. It's not as easy as it looks. You know, everybody not making, you know, $400,000 a year. Everybody not at Georgetown, North Carolina, you know, so.
Right.
Real quick, Jabril, just on Tyler, do you have aspirations of being a head coach? Obviously, right? And do you have a time frame?
Who, me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely I do. Only to have a time frame. You know, I just, you know, keep working hard, and, you know, if you do what you're supposed to do, opportunity gonna present itself at some point.
All right, Brill, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. No, I was about to say I got a funny story. So basically when I came back from playing overseas, like, I had actually came down to Atlanta, spent some time down here. Then my pop-up had transitioned or passed away. So I ended up going back to Philly. Yeah, all good. And basically spending time around my mom and my sister just during that time. And around that time, my cousin had came to me, who was actually, he was already the head coach at Overbrook High School basketball team. So basically, like, well, actually two of my cousins, they're closely connected to the program. So they came to me like, what you think about coaching or whatever. So at first I was like, I'm not sure about it or whatever. So basically, you know, he came to me, he was like, well, what you think about teaching too? And I was more so interested in the teaching aspect. You get what I'm saying? So that's how they really draw me in. So I had ended up doing a little bit, just working in Overbrook High School, doing a little bit subbing, substitute teaching, and just working with the kids, and also coaching the junior varsity and the varsity basketball that year. So I definitely got the remnants of, you know, what it is.
You got the bug.
So it was like, you know, dealing with high school kids, right? It's like, you would think that, damn, I've been there before. I played at the highest level as far as college. I won a championship over in the D League, you know, and it's like, you'll feel like, you know, you relaying certain information to the kids that they'll be receptive of it, you know, and it's not.
Trying to hit.
So now it's like, you know, when you look at that and you connect it to a higher level with kids in college and so forth, like, it's definitely, you know, it's not an easy job at all. You get what I'm saying? So
I want as many Hoyas who are interested in coaching to get into coaching, because we really don't have a coaching tree,
right,
so to speak. And the fact that, again, Big John was who he was, it's almost like that don't make no sense.
Right.
And that's something, you know, I'm not here to talk about problems. I'm here talking about solutions. I'm a solutions cat. Anybody can point out the problems, but it's
right.
like, what you gonna do about it?
Right.
So I encourage. I got some thoughts. I got some ideas, Brill. If when you start to get on that track,
right.
That's
sure.
And that's one thing I want to make sure I always talk about is, you know, it's easy to DM somebody, right? We all put on that blue and gray. I don't really need no introduction, or like, it's like pick up the phone or send a DM if you're interested in something on that creative stuff. That's something we can also build on.
Right.
I'm in the creative consultant space. So
right.
Even if it's just, you know, I might know somebody that I want to intro you to or connect you to. That's
right.
something I think we all can do a better job of. So but I definitely have some thoughts on that coaching thing.
right.
Tyler, is Alcorn State gonna play Georgetown in a couple of years, or
I hope so. Yeah.
You gotta ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I hope so.
You know, so you guys have any? I do want to, I guess, talk about the culture. The culture that I know Georgetown was in the 80s was crazy Hoya paranoia.
Right.
I know, so I graduated 84. 85, it was bananas, right? Because they were like back-to-back NCAA champions, put it in the book. So what I heard was like, it was like traveling with the Beatles back then in 85. Think about it. But move the culture forward to JT3. Now, I think y'all pressed a little bit when you first got there, right? Were you still pressing when you left? Because we had a defensive-minded kind of, we played ugly. we didn't play real pretty. Compared to your culture.
Right.
But see, well, people always talk about the offense, but really, with Coach Thompson in practice, bro, we used to work on defense. Like, we used to lock up. Like, but Coach Thompson always changed the defenses, so we would, sometimes he would press, but then a lot of times, freshman, sophomore year, he played a lot of zone, too. Right. But to me, Coach Thompson really focused more on defense. Like, if he didn't play defense, he wasn't going to play you. Like, or if he know help side, or if he know the spots, he really wasn't going to play you. But, Jabril, you can touch on more.
Yeah, because even for me, like my freshman year, I had my problem was I didn't know the offense. So I was just, coming from.
He didn't know it for 4 years.
Basically.
He didn't know it for 4 years.
Real out there raw dogging it.
So basically, like I had to find a way to get on the floor, outside of like not knowing the sets or whatever, because that was something big, Coach Thompson. Like if you don't know the offense and shit, you're not going to be on the floor. But it was like, so I had to basically compensate. Like, all right, I know I don't really know the offense right now, but as far as defensively and my energy and effort, I know that's something that the team could benefit from. So it's like, how can I at least, be on the floor and not be, as a detriment, I would say, to the offense or whatever, but also, just, making everything work well while I'm on the court. So, like, the defensive aspect was like.
You laughing at Tyler?
Because if you know Brill, he gonna be sick if he don't get in the game. So
Right. So it's like basically it's like I had to basically, like, on the defensive end, that's where I really got, that's where I gained my trust with Coach Thompson. So even my freshman year, I was able to play up to like 15 minutes a game, and basically playing a lot of games through my defensive efforts and things of that nature.
So D'ing up, get you in the game. Then all of a sudden you go from your 3-point shooting, abysmal your freshman year.
Right.
Your senior year, you shooting 40% from three.
Right.
Getting a lot of reps.
So I would say it definitely started my junior year when I broke my jaw, when I was able to sit out and watch and see what the team really needed. So I'm like, damn, the team really need me to be more of an offensive, threat in a way. I need to be able to shoot because a lot of teams was going under on me, of course. You know what I'm saying? That was their whole jaunt. And then with our offense, in a way, it was easier for them to kind of like predict what we was going to do in a sense. So it's like, that was the other thing I think was important too, as far as the different teams we had, was the personnel. So like the abilities that certain guys had, like I feel like Coach Thompson had to basically adjust according to each year as far as things we could do defensively, offensively, and so forth. So those things vary each year because, you got different players coming in. Just like back then, this was something that I wanted to touch on too, this ties in, but even going back from like.
Wow, he sounded like a coach already. I didn't mean to cut you off. He sounded like, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry, write this down.
My bad, but basically like, like back from like when like y'all era, and to now the style of play is completely different in a sense, the kind of players that you're dealing with, competing with in those times is completely different. So now coming to our eras, the players that you're recruiting or even trying to bring into Georgetown is a different kind of player. And I talked about this in an interview I had before with I think the Hoya talked before, but basically it's like now we understand that Georgetown is academically is a different level, you know. So it's like you're not going to be able to just go here and just not, you know, do work or anything like that. You're gonna be challenged to do your work and
You ain't
all.
gonna miss no class.
Yeah, like you're gonna get challenged. So it's like on all levels you're being forced to, you know, put the work in, you know. So it's not like going to Georgetown. That's the thing. Most dudes who get, like, if we're recruiting, they might look at it like, damn, I can't go here because I might
Hey,
not.
but hold on. Let me stop. That's why like I be getting mad.
Jump in there, Tyler.
That's why on Twitter I be getting mad. And like fans, you know, they be complaining about Georgetown recruiting, this and that. Well, like you really got to go to Georgetown and experience it and realize like it ain't that easy to recruit there because like we don't have like, you know, certain dorm rooms, you know, even stuff like that. Or I mean, like Jabril said, like you gonna have to do your work. Like ain't gonna be no finesse, no schoolwork. You can't ask no girl to do it because she got so much work to do herself. Like it's just like you're gonna have to do your work, and that makes it harder on recruiting and different aspects, you know, things like that. But my fault. Go ahead, Jabril.
No, yeah. So it's like with that, you got that aspect. Then you got the aspect of just the players and their mentalities and the kind of players that you're recruiting. So I would say, even when me and you talked about, Gene, you asked me about like the question about Big Coach saying me I could have played on one of his teams. You like that? I take that as a compliment, and I would say, of course, because for one, you know, I would say that where I come from, we are fashioned on old school type playing, you know, which is physicality, toughness, defense, you know, talking trash. You get what I'm saying? You're not about to get a one up on me.
Right.
You know, as the game transition, you know, it's more prima donna. It's pretty.
It's sexier now.
Yeah, it's more. And you know, I took pride in just like, no, we gonna get it from the mud. We grit this heart, and I'm willing to take it there. You get what I'm saying? Like whoever I'm competing against, like basically, like you not willing to take it further than I am as far as, you know, what it takes to win or just compete in a sense. So that was my mentality. But I understand, you know, just being in certain locker rooms or just being around certain players that the mentality has changed. So this is the important part where you got to understand that when you dealing with teams, people are going to have their own personal agendas as far as what they think they should be doing as far as like their career, where they want to go, and so forth. And those things can basically tamper a lot dealing with the teams, you know? Mm-hmm. So I would say on the team that I won, when we won the Big East regular season title, you get what I'm saying? I would say for the most part, on a collective level, we was all on the same page mentally, you know, and even on as far as the personnel and just how everything worked out, we were all on the same page as far as like what it meant to win or what we wanted to get accomplished. It wasn't like, oh, I'm trying to do this, even though, you know, in their minds, people might got their personal agendas. But I think that's where things become distorted at when people don't understand that, of course, everybody got their goals. You know, we're trying to go play overseas, play NBA, but at the end of the day, we're trying to win, you know? So that's the thing I think that might distort a lot of things, you know, coming into like, as far as like teams now and the generations now, is like a lot of guys have personal agendas as far as where they want to go and stuff, like rather than actual winning. And that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to win. So like, I would say that's why me and JT3 relationship was the way it was, because I never really complained about, you know, oh, I should be doing this or no, it was just like.
Tyler, that dude didn't like sitting on the bench, did he, Tyler?
No, but he never complained though. He always get back to the room.
I just had to, you feel, right. I just had to make sure I got on the floor. That's all it was.
Right. Tyler, we're winding down now. We're coming up on that hour. So okay. I definitely want to, if you guys want to talk about anything in particular in terms of what you're doing. I mean, you shared it a little bit, Brill. Feel free to, if you want to get a little bit more specific. But the highlight of your Georgetown Hilltop experience, journey, non-basketball?
Mm.
And
Basketball.
Brill, you go second to give you time.
No, Brill go first.
No, Brill gonna be philosophical with his joint. He gonna drop a gem. He gonna drop a gem. So Tyler, I'm gonna need you to step out. Step out, set the pick, and then roll.
The highlight really actually get my degree because that was harder than that was like the day I turned in my final paper for my sociology degree, that was the biggest relief of my life. And I was the first person to graduate, first person in my close family to graduate from a university. So that was a special moment, for me, graduation day, all my family coming up. So that was, being from little old Brandon, Mississippi, and graduating from Georgetown, actually get my degree, and fighting through the struggle that I had, that was the biggest accomplishment for me, non-basketball related. And, me just, being from Mississippi and being able to meet new people, and just being in DC and being at a school that was very diverse that I really wasn't used to was a great experience for me. And I tell people right now, I love Georgetown, DC more than anything, like by far. Like when it comes to Georgetown basketball, like the city, like the campus, I love it because it's just a family atmosphere. Me not playing, and with them giving me the support, off the court, really just made me feel like it was a family. It made me feel connected. Even like President DeJoya and Lee Reed, they made sure I was still part of the team, still part of the family. So, but that was my best experience, getting my degree.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I would say that for me, I think that's definitely a tough question, layered question.
Oh yeah.
But I would say it's just in general, it's definitely just a collective of the memories that I have with just my different brothers that that I connected with each year being at Georgetown.
I forgot about China too. Dang, that's crazy.
Yeah. So ultimately, it's just Ty, I got you too. I know you, like vice versa. We feel the same way. So
Yeah.
it's like just being being able to be at Georgetown, cultivate those different relationships with the different teammates and brothers each year, the different coaches, the family. Because like we talked about, if we talk about the culture too, we know like as far as how things are run, as far as the Georgetown culture, it's definitely a family. It's definitely tight knit. You get what I'm saying? And outside of that, it's definitely all the experiences that I was able to have in Georgetown and to basically get me to where I'm at right now, as far as the things that I understand mentally and just the people I was able to connect with and so forth. So I think with that being said, we should definitely start like a players union or something. I don't know. Something where, all the former players, we form a group or something and we can just start connecting, creating things.
Man, even if we do it by city, like I don't care how we do it.
Right.
But, and again, I think the momentum is definitely there. I know for me, I'm not even going to lie to you, to both of you. I don't know if Patrick wasn't the coach, if I would be so knee deep. I mean, I'm having all kind of issues setting this up. Well, my wife is having all kind of issues setting this up, right? But I don't even care. Like,
right.
My message is, this is how we are. This is how we feel about each other. If you're not part of the solution, then you just, because my time is past. Like,
right.
Dude, I was playing. Y'all wasn't even born.
Right.
So like the last thing I'm gonna do is try to impress upon you how nice I was, or boom, boom, boom. But I am gonna tell you, there were some cats that laid the groundwork that you should just know about.
Right.
And what I do, just like I know about you guys, what I do is there's a link called Georgetown Hoya Project. I go on there once a week, twice a week, start with the alphabet, and just check out, by decade. Because again, I know we're going to win another national championship. right? I mean, we left so much money on the table, so to speak. So for me, it starts with, the little things like, supporting each other
Right.
while we're there, and especially when we leave. And now
Right.
these cats can market, brand their own license, like their own images. The more access they have to people that went through the same process they went through, the better. So that's what this is all about. I can't thank you two enough.
Right.
I do want to ask how both of you are maintaining during this virus. Are you holed up? Are you out and about? I know you mentioned you're in Atlanta. Tyler, where are you, Tyler? And just give us an update. Both of you?
So when the quarantine first started, I was really just chilling at the crib back in Jackson.
Okay.
And right now, I'm in the office on at campus. Monday through Thursday. But other than that, I mean, I just been if you follow me on Instagram or Twitter, I just been working out pretty much every day, trying to stay in a little shape, man. So. But other than that, I just been
you can't not be in shape around them youngins. You can't.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Especially if I'm still gonna train them.
Yeah.
But no, I haven't been out at all. I mean, pretty much, if I need to go to Kroger or Walmart, I'm in and out, or if I need to go to the gas station, but I haven't been out and about like that, especially me going back in the office, I can't afford to do that. So really, I just been relaxed, catching up on, some old games, watching, some games from Alcorn last year, just really catching up on a lot of old stuff. But with me, it's probably a lot harder for me to deal with this because I'm a sports junkie and all I do is watch sports rather than Jabril, So really, it's kind of been hard, not having no live sports. I watch baseball, soccer, basketball, all of it. So, but go ahead, bro.
Yeah, so I would say for me personally, being down in Atlanta, it's kind of like, I guess it's much different than other places or cities right now because it's not so many restrictions down here. So it's things are pretty kind of normal out down here, I would say. For the most part, I would say during this whole, I guess, pandemic or, just when this whole thing set off, something that's been important for me was just staying aware of the things that I'm putting in my body. I think that's something that, the collective or most of us can benefit from, just being aware of our diets in connection to the times that we're in, as far as talking about the virus or, protecting yourself. So I think it's not really necessarily being in a state of fear or a state of worry or things of that nature. Is more so understanding yourself, and then also just giving your body the best chance to just fight off different things or just endure this experience. So for me, it's just, staying aware, putting the right things in my body, nourishing myself, and just staying at a high frequency as far as like my thoughts in nature. So not really feeding into like watching the news so much, if you get what I'm saying, or watching Instagram on top of everything that's going on, because that can play a psychological role on a lot of people. A lot of people watching Instagram, watching the news all day, and they're just talking about virus, or death, or, so, and that's psychologically, that's a lot on people. So I would think, I would say that it's important for people to, start cultivating some other aspects of self, whether that be certain creative aspects. Maybe you start reading a book, different things, to take your mind off all this extra stuff that's going on.
You saw the Hoya locker room, something.
Exactly. So,
right.
I feel like now is a time, that, everybody is a great time for everybody to start looking into different things they can do. I think that this is what this time is really shedding a light on, how can you build yourself up? And then, when things, get back to normal, or when things, transition, how are you ready and prepared, to go forward? So,
Tyler, next time I'm just gonna turn on. You and I can we just let Jabril he can run this by himself. Like, you definitely need a show, dog.
oh no, so I got a podcast coming soon, man.
Yeah, I need to be plugged in that.
Yeah, for sure.
He can rap too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's why he can flow like that. You see how he just be flowing.
But I do want to ask a little bit more specifically, because Tyler, you mentioned you're a sports junkie. Do you really think sports should be taking place now? Is that not a mixed message of sorts? I get it from a financial standpoint for the players, but if you take that element out of it, is it not mixed messages? Because to Jabril's point, this is probably a better time to unplug, or if you're plugged into something, it's something a little bit more substantial. But I just want to throw it out. Do you think we should be getting back to? I don't really feel like being entertained right now. Like
Right.
I mean, I did see a clip last night where I kind of got interested in, okay, the Clippers and the Lakers are playing the doubleheader. That piqued my interest, but how do I deal with what's going on mentally? And then, because it's not the same as it was 6 months ago. So I can't be flowing the same way. So I just, if you could, I'm lobbing that out there.
Well, me personally, especially at the college level, I mean, the fact that college athletes aren't being paid, but pretty much forcing them, to
That's going to change.
put their life at risk. Yeah, it's going to change, but it's like you kind of forcing them to put their life at risk while students are not on campus. So I mean. I'll probably just say take it off, but I'm not a scientist or a doctor, so it's just hard to really call.
Mm-hmm.
But that's really where I'm at on it right now.
Bro?
I definitely like what you said about the aspect of not really being entertained right now, because I think that as far as with everything going on right now, of course, like, everybody, you still do your normal stuff or whatever, but like I was touching on earlier, it's definitely about cultivating that knowledge with self, and also unlearning a lot of things to relearn a lot of things, because a lot of things we deal with right now, a lot of information is really not conducive to the collective, and there's a lot of things that we need to really, we need a shift on perspective, basically, so like we was talking about, basically a solution as to where something that's really beneficial to the collective rather than perpetuating the same thing over and over. So like Black Lives Matter or whatever, okay, what's the solution to that?
Now what?
You get what I'm saying? And we got to understand on the energetic level, or as far as our emotions, what we really giving our attention to. You get what I'm saying? And like, it's not to say that people don't have good intentions as far as, what they're trying to accomplish right now. But I think that if we apply our attention to the right things and to self, that will reflect to the outside as far as everything else. You get what I'm saying? Right. But it's the fact that we give our attention so much to external things that we don't really know what's going on right now. So I feel like a lot of people are just like confused, and there's just a lot of, chaotic things going on right now. But the way to weather the storm is just, to cultivate that relationship with self. You get what I'm saying?
No doubt. I hope, or just so you know, I reach out to the university to check out the Hoya locker room, because I think we kick it more than just asking for a T-shirt, because I'm not interested in the T-shirt. I think this is more about re-engaging with the university, and young men like yourself have so much to offer on the give back, and you're just an invaluable resource. So I just want to thank you both for rolling through. And this is a quote for Hoya locker room that I kind of like to either start or end with, and it's a Frederick Douglass quote: "We have to do with the past only as we can make it useful to the present and to the future." I'm gonna hit you with it again. We have to do with the past only as we can make it useful to the present and to the future. I'm the past.
Mm-hmm.
You two are the past. Let's stay relevant. Let's stay engaged. however we can do it. So I'm gonna be reaching out to you just on the regular, checking in.
Right.
Feel free to do the same. Pass on the message, and if you ever want to come back on, I don't know how long I'm gonna be doing this. I got no plan other than I think, Brill, you made the point. It's a calling right now, yeah, I'm just gonna keep putting out positive Hoya content.
Right.
So I appreciate you both.
All right, no problem. Thank you.
I appreciate you for having us on.
Yes, sir.
And I definitely look forward to building this, this being a bridge as to us, connecting all the former Hoyas, all the former brothers, and it's just, I feel like, yeah, this was a great thing. Thanks for having this. Thanks for having us on.
Okay.
And also shout out to Chris and Chris and Austin for doing their thing too.
Yeah, thank you for giving that shout out, because I would have forgot that. Definitely.
So shout out to all my dogs. Shout out to all the, all my dogs, all my bros, the Hoyas. You feel me?
Yes, sir.
We definitely should come together, and I think we got a chance to do something special. So,
Tyler, any last comment?
No, man, it's just good to put some information out there. Hopefully people tuned in and listen to us. But it's just a good opportunity, to reminisce on some things, and talk about our past and the future. So, but anytime you want to have me on, I'm ready.
Appreciate it. Shout out, because I old people, we don't know about shout out. Shout out to Dog Talk 101, because I love what they're doing. I love the perspective. That's, we have so many unique individuals, man, that, we all have our flow. We all have our experience, and we all need to reach out a little bit more, express ourselves. Shout out to my wife, Hachi Mendez-Smith, for hooking this all up, and Mark Thompson, who's the IT guy that helped me all. He was a manager at Georgetown, I think 87 through 90. But Hoya's in the building. I appreciate you both, and just stay up, stay safe.
Yes, sir.
Stay powerful.
Stay powerful. Yes, sir.
Love.
Love. How do I download video? I stopped it. Yep. Babe, I need you to close the door. You were in the picture. The whole time I had to adjust my seat. I sent you a text, close the door. How do I download the video? I hope I'm not. I already stopped the video. Yeah, they're gone. I hit end.